All right, welcome to a new episode of Real Estate First Technology Unleashed. When we go deeper with our new episodes to really understand our guests, understand their why, understand how they got where they're at today. And today we have a really awesome guest because he's someone, I won't drop any names, but was with an organization that basically said, hey, we need help with X, Y, and Z. And then he got his real estate license and he's transacting. And then says like, oh, hold on, wait. You're getting paid too much. And so if you're someone out there, a licensed real estate professional, a mortgage broker, someone that wants to get your real estate license, you're working for a broker and they're telling you this is what you should get paid or this is what you're worth, like always strive for more and never cap yourself with someone else's beliefs or someone else telling you what you're worth. And so we're going to talk about that today. If you're in the real estate space or a small business owner and someone that is looking to find your own worth, I think today's episode is going to be amazing for that. If you haven't already done so, like the episode, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We would love feedback as we're always looking to add additional value to our viewers and listeners. And today we have the one and only George. Welcome to the show all the way from Hayward, California, Fast Real Estate. Dude, how's your day going, man?
Hey, Norman. It's going pretty well. Thanks for having me today. I'm super excited.
Of course,
I got my workout in, so can't complain.
Let's go, man. I've been seeing some of your motivational posts and some things that you're putting out there and talking about how the process of fitness and going to the gym and getting your mind right and all the things has so much to do with the way you're showing up for other people and the way that you're showing up for yourself and your clients. And so congratulations to you for staying on top of that and keep on keeping on.
Thank you.
Of course, man. So I'm really excited because we talked a couple times. I see that on Instagram, links down below. George is someone that loves to travel. If you're a traveler, you're definitely going to want to connect with George. We actually were with each other at the W Hotel over in Scottsdale, Arizona for shout out Raquel, the Play Bigger event. And it was awesome being able to meet you in person outside of seeing you on Instagram and all the videos and what have you. And we actually had an opportunity to talk before you being on the podcast. And you gave me a little bit of a glimpse of your story. And I think there's a lot of people out there that can relate to your story that are new to the business or maybe not even thinking real estate is going to be for them. And then look at you as an amazing model of someone who wasn't thinking about real estate. COVID happened, some other things happened. Now you're in real estate and you're crushing it and you're with a team that kind of put a value on what you're worth. And you're like, no, I'm worth way more than that. So before we get to all of that, which we will later on in the episode, tell us a little bit about like your story leading up to real estate. Because I'm sure people out there can relate to this story and it's a good one. So get into it, man. I want to hear it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have actually, like I shared with you prior, I never thought about getting into real estate. It's actually funny. I don't think I told you this the last time we spoke. So when I was little, and I actually thought of it, remembered it the other day when I was at the gym, was I remember when I was little, and you remember when you're little, everyone's like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yep.
Because I realized growing up, I always said I wanted to be a businessman, just never knew to what caliber.
Really?
Which is super interesting because my best friend, when we were little, she always wanted to be a doctor, and now she's an OBGYN. And I was just chatting with her the other day, and I was like, you know what? Actually, it kind of ended up matching up.
Wow.
Yeah, but after college, I pretty much ended up in the tech industry. I actually served at a restaurant called Lazy Dog in Cupertino for 2 years. I took off some time after college, didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I got my bachelor's in communication at Cal State East Bay. And then I just happened to stumble working into tech 2 years after college when this gal that I was in choir with in high school posted on Facebook, who wants to submit their application to me? I work at Yelp. I had no idea what the hell account executive was. Or what the job entailed. I just sent her my resume, showed up to the interview, ended up getting it. And next thing I know, I was cold calling. I had no idea what the hell cold calling was either. But yeah, I basically learned like tech sales, how to cold call, how to hold a conversation with people from different backgrounds. And I basically was given these metrics. You pitch 3 times a day, close 1 deal, minimum of 100 dials, and 2 hours talk time.
Wow.
So I remember at the time, 40K, worked in San Francisco. You basically burn and churned your account for like 6 to 12 months. in your territory. Yeah. And it was a lot of getting hung up on, getting yelled at. I remember I would get anxiety. People would cry on the floor about how like someone yelled at them and they didn't want to make all these dials.
Oh my God.
But honestly, I look back now and I remember thinking, I hate this job. And then now I look back as an agent and I'm like, holy smokes, it's really helped me really refine a lot of skills that I didn't have prior. And it translated over to what I do now. And actually, some of those people are hitting me up to buy homes. But yeah, I pretty much got my start off in the tech industry a little bit after college. And then the pandemic happened. And I actually thought I was going to be a tech bro for the rest of my life. I loved tech. I obviously the perks are great. The people are great, but the pandemic happened. And unfortunately, I guess unfortunately at the time, it was a blessing in disguise. I lost my tech job. And I was basically searching for a job for like, 6 to 8 months. And then one day, my best friend since 5th grade, her sister was a real estate broker here in Hayward. And she basically told my friend, instead of George being a bum on your couch looking for a tech job all day, every day, tell him to come work for us for a little bit under the table. We forgot to hire our front desk gal and went on her last day actually to go learn real quick. And I remember, okay, I'm going to be here 3 days. Ended up, can you come back next week? We forgot to hire someone. 2 weeks turned into, you know what, do you just want the job? And for me, I was coming from making 6 figures in tech and then going to like a real estate administration job, front desk, where they were like, we'll pay you 45K. I was like, it was a little stroke to my ego. But I was like, it's 5 minutes from my house. We're still in hardcore lockdown. And everyone's told me for years, you should look into real estate. And I always was like, no, I don't like sales. And on my first day of me just filling in for their front desk, the broker slipped me a note and said, if you get your real estate license, I will cover the cost of it and all your fees. And I told myself I'd be boo-boo the fool to turn down a free real estate license. So I kind of just shifted my mindset and more so saw it as a learning curve. And honestly, the rest is kind of history. And here I am. So I definitely always tell my best friend and her sisters, thank you guys so much. Just like kind of Kim K gave the rest of the Kardashians a career. I told her and her sisters, you guys helped me find a career that I love and that I'm really great at. But they're very humble and they always tell me, we just had you show up and you did the rest yourself. But yeah.
Dude, that is awesome. I think a big point for the viewers and listeners out there, because I think a lot of people get caught up and they're like thinking to themselves like, okay, like I want to be a businessman or I want to be a businesswoman or I want to be a business person. And it's like, you could get caught up in like what type or who or when or why or how or all the things. And it's just like setting goals or having a vision board and not knowing how you're going to hit those goals or get to where you want to go. It just happens. You just do it. It just is. And so I love how for you, you didn't really know what you didn't know, but now look at you as a successful businessman with an amazing real estate team. You're at one of your offices and you're matching the pillows in the background. No, that's just a side joke. Because literally before we got on air, George was like, yeah, so I'm matching the pillows. If you're listening to this, you got to go to youtube.com. Yeah, you got to see the pillow matching the shirt situation. And that's a real backdrop here. Both of our backdrops are real. But I think that's great. It's something great to take for our viewers and listeners because they don't need to know exactly how they're going to be, what they're going to be, unless you want to be like a doctor. I guess there's a couple different ways to be doctors, but if you're going to be like a therapist, you're going to be like a teacher. I guess there's different things you can teach as well. But at the end of the day, stay true to your goals and to your aspirations and to what you want to be. And it doesn't matter exactly how you fall in line of what you're going to be, but it's going to work itself out. I love that. So from going from working at that office and like, it sounded like it was kind of loose from the start. So if anyone's out there, under the table getting paid, part-time getting paid, turning into like a full-time situation. Now, at what point do they this is Real Estate versus Technology Unleashed. So we're going to go a little deeper here on this story. We're not going to talk any names, but did they give you a formal like agreement or something to sign, or was it a verbal? Like,
no, it was Like in regards to me working for them or them?
Yeah, working for them. You're under the table is like part-time, and they're like, oh, do you just want
Yeah.
this
So
job?
I would say like the first 2 weeks, they kind of just paid me under the table because I was catching unemployment.
Yeah.
And then eventually they were like, we got to bring you on. So I had to say bye-bye to this $2,000 a week. I was one of those fortunate ones at the time. And luckily, honestly, I did save up a lot of my unemployment during that time, which actually helped me transition into becoming a full-time when I later on did a few months down the road, quit my position with them. But I would say it was more verbal. And then when I did get licensed, I pretty much signed a contract with them. But I will say I'm forever grateful for the opportunity that they presented me. I did learn, like being an admin for them and running their front desk, that actually gave me a great opportunity and a huge foot in the door when it came time to get licensed, because I was helping them with paperwork. I was answering phones. They were teaching me how to have certain conversations. I did get told a few times, like, you can't say that, or we can't give that info. So it was definitely a good hands-on learning curve, which I feel very fortunate to have gotten, because I now realize that I made the transition elsewhere. Not a lot of newer agents get that first experience or that hands-on training in the very beginning. But what I did realize early on in my career was that I did come from the tech industry. So I was well versed with how technology worked and how powerful it was. Whereas my first brokerage really wasn't privy to that. They were more little old school, still printing out CMAs, handwriting them in the back, giving sellers like this thick worth of printouts on a CMA and taking maybe an hour, 2 hours to put it together. Whereas when I made the transition to EXP, they showed me how to do it using technology in a matter of minutes. So I really, once I made the jump, I really saw my business flourish a lot more faster, because the use of technology with EXP and in real estate, where it's going now, really aligned with what I was looking for. And my previous brokerage, it was more so me being the more advanced one when it came to technology. So it was a little tougher for me to have a better understanding of how to do real estate and mix in technology when I was being taught like the OG way. Once I came to the team that I'm on now, it just blew up even faster. Like now, the majority of my business actually comes from social media. I've been averaging the last month and a half about, I want to say, one buyer consultation a week, and they all came from social media, and they're not like 6 months down the road. I mean, they initially came to me that way in my DMs, but when I sat down with them, brought in my lender, Mike from Fairway, who was actually at Playmaker with us, and we go through the presentation and the buyer consultation as a whole together, having him there with me on the spot has really sped up a lot of people's timeline, actually, because he's there to, in the intro, to take on their numbers, run the pre-approval, or run like a pre-qualification for them while I go through my consultation side. And by the time it comes to his portion, he mirrors the laptop on the TV, runs through their numbers, and then from there, I'm going into my property management platform, Real Scout, and setting them up based on the criteria that they shared with us and the price point that they pre-qual in. And then right there, it's literally sped up. I want to say last weekend, I went and saw, about 30 homes with 3 different families, and they were all people that I've done buyer consults with. And I just set up a dashboard last week on Monday, which we learned about at Play Bigger, that one of the brokers was using, and it's called Notion. So Notion has this dashboard called Sales CRM. It's a template. And pretty much what I did was I plugged in every lead that I've gotten so far that's active and really lined them out. And so everybody that I'm showing homes to, it equates to a sales volume of about 10,050,000 is from what I'm looking at. So I pretty much created this dashboard now, and I was like, you know what? I need to have it all be in one place where I can actually see it, because I'm very visual. And finding what works for me, and seeing this has motivated me even more this last week and a half. I even have a little whiteboard right here to my side where I wrote down all of my active clients that I literally need to call today. And then building out, I'm working on rebuilding out my newsletter with one of my lender partners at Fairway. They gave their VIP agents access to their marketing team. So they're trying to help me streamline my business even more. And then I'm working on implementing a lot more AI into it too. So it's definitely a lot from what my last brokerage taught me. It's a huge learning curve for me as well. Like I tell a lot of people and a lot of friends that always ask me, hey, I want to be a real estate agent. I'm flat out real with them. The first thing that comes out of my mouth is always, this is not sexy all the time, like selling Sunset or selling the OC or $1 million listing. Like, you're going to have to grind. And I don't know if you can see the bags under my eyes, but I've been doing the sauna and face masks more lately and working on sleeping more to get rid of them. But it's definitely a huge roller coaster ride, mentally, physically. I mean, I've gained weight eating a ton of junk food and then going back to the gym. But then also surrounding yourself with the right people, because at my old brokerage, love everybody, but I don't think there was a real sense of camaraderie. Whereas the current team that I'm on now, there's such a huge sense of camaraderie, like a help mentality, growth-minded community. And I feel like I don't even pay attention to interest rates like most agents do, because people are going to buy regardless. You just have to find the right strategy for them. And so, yeah, it's all about where you end up and the people you surround yourself with. Sorry, went on like a whole tangent. He talks about 20 different topics in one.
Dude, you're good though, because I feel like at the end of the day, what I took from it, and I think anyone viewing and listening could take from it, and I'm sure if anyone hasn't already done so, go back, take some notes, is that like there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of different moving parts getting into this industry. The one thing that I feel like stuck out for me is I really love the idea of having things in Notion and having that plugin for the CRM portion of it. And on the Liftoff Agent side, that shout out Liftoff Agent, number one marketing position agency that sponsors this show, we also use Notion. And so, I feel like that's a really good key performance indicator to look at. And that's a KPI for short for our viewers and listeners. It's like, if you can have something on a board, straight up in front of your face, like now, and I believe we talked about some of your goals as far as helping families. And now you have a specific number to look at because what they pre-qualify for, and that they're already set up in the property alerts. And so now you just have to follow, connect, give them a call, check out what they're looking at, and then just manifest and be like, all right, I'm going to hit that 10 million. It's going to happen. So now you have something more tangible, where I think a lot of people first getting in the business, they don't know what broker to start with, who to work with, where to go, all the things. And so can we talk for a second? Someone's listening, they're a new agent and they want to get in the business like they said to you, and you said that it's not sexy. It's not like selling Sunset. It's a lot of moving parts. Let's start from the perspective of selecting a brokerage or team. And now I know that there's EXP and Real, and now you can select your sponsor. And then if you want to change sponsors, you might have to go from EXP to Real, which Dan Gandy had to do, our co-host, Real Estate First Technology. So I would love to get some feedback on that standpoint. So what would you give our viewers and listeners as far as selecting a brokerage? What would you advice-wise give them as far as when they go down that rabbit hole and they're trying to figure it out?
Yeah, honestly, I now know what I didn't know back then. When I first joined my initial brokerage, I had no knowledge of what other brokerages offered and whatnot. But now when I look back, my biggest advice to people that are looking to become a real estate agent is definitely meet with different people, different teams from different brokerages, see what they do offer. Because I know they're always gonna, like I tell my buyers, when you go with one lender, they're of course going to tell you all the great things that you're going to be offered, but definitely shop around, take their pre-approval, and go see who's going to be like Best Buy and interest rate match you. Same thing with brokerages. They're all going to try to entice you to join their brokerage or their team. But at the end of the day, do what's best for you, interview them, look at their stocks, look at what your core values are too. Especially for me, I know technology was a big part of my background. So EXP really aligned with it. I'm very social. I like social media. So my team specifically, Team Fast, really aligned with that. I
Love it.
just wasn't the best at video at first, or comfortable, I should say. And I feel like my team really helped push me out of my comfort zone as far as video. Now, the vast majority of my business comes from social media.
Love it.
But I would honestly say too, really do a speed dating with different ones. Because once you're at one, you don't want to make that jump, because it is a pain to switch brokerages, switch all your branding, but ultimately learn what your goals are and see how they truly align too. Because I mean, EXP, it works for me and I love it. And this isn't me trying to promote EXP, but there's also people that do leave EXP because they see what certain agents are doing, not realizing like, okay, EXP is a full-on cloud brokerage. It's fully remote, but then you do have teams like ours where we do have a bunch of satellite offices. So people will see our team and then join EXP and then leave EXP because they're like, you know what? I didn't realize I was going to be by myself. So you really want to find where you feel comfortable and who's really going to push you too. Because at the end of the day, that's why I did move on from my last brokerage, regardless of them feeling like family and I've known them for X amount of years. I had to do what was best for me and my business. And I just spoke to someone yesterday that was thinking about joining our team and leaving their brokerage, which was like an OG one. And like I told them, what is holding you back there? And he was like, you know what? I love my area manager. That's about it. And I asked him, well, what about your area manager is it that you love? Like, are they giving you leads? Are they helping contribute to your business? He was like, I just love them as a person. And I told him, I said, not to be rude, but is he paying your bills? Is he feeding you? Like, other than him being nice to you, you just want to make him look good. And he was like, yeah, like, I just really like him. Well, he called me today to tell me, actually, I just handed in I'm moving brokerages to my brokerage, and I'm going to be joining EXP. So at the end of the day, like, look at the benefits. Like, look at, as a new agent especially, are they going to train you? Because my last brokerage said we don't train new agents.
Wow.
For EXP, at least my team specifically, it really aligned because I got a mentor for my first 3 transactions. It was a 50-50 split, which my mentor is now one of my best friends. I literally blew him up all the time, like, hey, Hector, how do I do this? I got my first listing. He was like, I'll coach you on the side. I was like, no, join me on the listing, co-list with me, because I want you to be in the group chats and show me how to lead a conversation. I want you to coach me on the side and me kind of stall replying to the client, but I want you to be knees deep in it with me. And yeah, overall, just do your research and go with what feels good for you, and don't feel bad because someone else referred you elsewhere or you want to go where your friend's at. At the end of the day, my best friend just left our team to go to another brokerage, and we're best friends. But even though we're best friends since of 21 years, we're both operate different business wise and have very different goals. And that doesn't change our love for each other personally. Like, we still root for each other. She still texts me, it's a great day to have a great day, every morning. But that's what works for her, and this is what works for me. You just have to separate the two, because at the end of the day, you're building your generational plan for your family and yourself.
Wow. I love that. Is that you? Is this you? Can you relate as far as trusting your gut, making sure that, you know, you stay close to the ones that you love, right? And they can still be friends with you. That doesn't mean that they have to be with you from the business standpoint. And if they're not helping you pay the bills and they're not helping you with coaching or co-listing or whatever the case may be, that doesn't always mean that you need to stick and stay in that type of relationship. I absolutely love that, man. It makes a lot of sense. And I think anyone who's viewing and listening, our intention is for you to think about, like, specifically now going to a brokerage, getting your real estate license, where you're going to go, trust your gut, look at the processes. Do they train new agents? I think, George, you hit on a lot of points that are going to be very, very, very helpful for a lot of individuals listening. I want to go deeper on something because we are on Real Estate versus Technology Unleashed. And I want to go a little bit deeper and unleash the thought process of how was it for you going from you had a tech job, right? Then you're on unemployment, right? And you're making, north of whatever it is, 8,000 plus a month, give or take. And so now you're at a point where you're going to go and get your real estate license because now you're helping the front desk. So you're still getting a paycheck, but how was that transition from like paycheck to no paycheck to like getting your first your first commission check after that first transaction to like managing and balancing it all? How was that mental shift for you?
Honestly, it was extremely nerve-wracking. I come from a family where I'm the first one to graduate college. I'm the first one in my entire family to do real estate on both sides, both on my mom and dad's side.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I feel like a lot of my family growing up, I've always seen them kind of play it safe and not really truly bet on themselves. So I felt like I was treading into I believe the word's uncharted territory or untreaded territory. So this is where really it came into play. Who I really surrounded myself with truly mattered. And so that's why when I did make the jump to go full time and quit my salary role, it was the first time I've ever done that in my entire life. And I was shitting bricks, I'm not going to lie. And I was very fortunate to learn how to save over the last couple of years. So in all honesty, I had about $50,000 from when I worked in tech and commission saved up. And part of that was like from unemployment. I was saving over half of it each time since we were in lockdown. But I definitely had to reframe my mindset and tell myself, I'm going to give it my all. Because I almost didn't do it. I almost didn't play bigger or bet on myself. I almost allowed myself to feel imposter syndrome and hold myself back and stay as a staff member for my old brokerage. But I told myself, I'm single, I have no kids, I can rock it without life insurance for the next few months.
Let's go.
And if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. And if I deplete all of my savings and I fail at this, I'm still young enough and single, no kids, to be able to like come back from that. And honestly, I'm so glad that I betted on myself because I look back on it and I'm actually doing a lot better than I could have ever imagined. I was so scared, like, where are leads going to come from? How am I going to pay rent? Like, I started to see my savings like start going a lot faster than I could have anticipated. That was like bills, car insurance, car payment, rent, like going into building up my marketing for my business. Because I think that's what a lot of people don't account for is that real estate isn't cheap to get into. If you don't have savings or you're not willing to put money on your credit cards to get your business going, then what are you doing? Because it's not going to poof out of anywhere. And I mean, I just talked to someone the other day that was talking about getting the real estate business set up. And I'm still pretty new. I'm barely in my second year. And I just told someone the other day, actually, if I look at my credit cards right now, I have about $25,000 worth of credit card debt right now. But I'm not scared like I would have been when I went full-time last year and betted on myself because one, it's write-offs. Two, it's going into me building my business. And a lot of it now has been me more refocusing on going to play bigger events, going to Neil Holmes in Las Vegas in a few weeks, and really surrounding myself with other like-minded individuals. And to tell you the truth, whenever I've spoken with other realtors, entrepreneurs at all of these events, they all have said they started in a similar place or were much in debt than I am. I had someone tell me recently they're about $500,000 in debt growing their business right now. And that made me feel at ease because I was like 25,000 versus $500,000 and this person's crushing it. So if they can bet on themselves that way, then I need to do it as well. And yeah, I'm super excited to see where it goes from here. And I can't wait. And I'm super excited to see where I'm going to be in the next year, let alone at the end of the year and even 5 years from now too, because I'm doing a lot of things that I never would have imagined. And I actually had both my parents tell me not too long ago how proud they are of me. And that was a big thing for me, because out of all my parents' kids, I'm probably the only one doing everything that I'm doing, and probably the most successful one out of all of them. So this is where I'm betting on myself and stepping out of my comfort zone. And a lot of the time, trust me, everyone sees my Instagram and they're like, you're so confident, you're crushing it. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, you know what? Instagram is a facade sometimes, but I'm like, other people see me as an inspiration, just as I see other people as an inspiration. And I just got to keep going, which is why I use Instagram and other social media platforms as a big accountability tool. Because if I quit real estate or give up on myself, then everyone's not going to like want to bet on me in the next endeavor that I embark on.
Yeah, 100%. That's amazing. And I appreciate, you unleashing it all and putting it out on the table, and just being your true authentic self, and telling people out there that, guess what, like, this is where I'm at as far as in debt. And at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of people out there that have hundreds of millions of dollars of debt. I mean, Grant Cardone has hundreds of $1 million worth of debt. I mean, that's people that are the most successful. We're not talking about leveraging debt as far as for a nice car or, something that's just going to stroke your ego. We're talking about like debt to leveraging debt to invest in yourself, in your future self. And then there's always going to be income, debt to income ratio. And like, what are you, writing off, which is good. You have that to write off now. And then you can be able to take all that knowledge and 10x your business. And not to mention, in the Bay Area, average medium home sales price plus your commission earned. I mean, you could literally close out of like 5, 6, 10 transactions, not even probably 5 or less, and be able to pay that off. So it's pretty amazing what you could do with that, which is awesome. And that's where I feel like a lot of people listening right now should think about investing in themselves and look at someone like George as an inspiration. I have his Instagram behind me. Links are down below on this video here on YouTube. And definitely give him a follow. Check out what he's doing. And I remember at the Play Bigger event, they talked about how you were someone that was very much more shy and didn't really want to get on video and was second guessing yourself and all the things. And so now you said, you know what, I'm going to go and do it. And you did it. And now you're inspiration for others and you're playing bigger. And so that is awesome that you're doing that and you're going that extra mile for yourself. And congratulations to your family, for your mother, your father, to say that about you. I could definitely relate to you on that subject matter as well. And doesn't it feel good to be that leader, lead by example for your family and loved ones?
Yeah, it's definitely nice. It's a little pressure sometimes, but I remember hearing my mom a few weeks ago on Mother's Day. I heard her when I was in the kitchen of my aunt and uncle's house, and she said, he's going to be the one in our family to build generational wealth and break that cycle for all of us. So it's definitely a big shoes to fill, I would say. And wow. It's definitely inspirational. Cause I don't come from a background that has money. But I know money is definitely going to come from me, and I'm going to help uplift my family. And I mean, that's what I love about what we do. Is helping other families build generational wealth. And a lot of my clients have all been first-time home buyers. So being able to help educate them along the way on how they can build wealth and using their first property in a year to leverage to build their real estate portfolio and buy something else is truly unmatched. And I'm actually surprised at myself that I was so resistant at being a real estate agent years ago when people told me. I even told myself the other day at the gym, I was like, damn, if I did this 5 years ago, where could I have been now? But it's better to start later than never.
I love that, man. I love that. And I think beyond and above, like, generational wealth's great, money's great, gives you lots of things to be able to do that you maybe couldn't have done before. I think more importantly, it's the positivity, it's the mind shift. It's you breaking out of this 9 to 5, white picket fence, status quo, kind of what we've already, and a lot of us all subject to ourselves too. And it's just like, you don't have to do that. Like you could dictate your schedule and go where you want and do what you want and have that work-life balance and freedom. That it sounds like you're still working on work-life balance, because obviously, you know, when you're busy, it's like, okay, I got to eat healthy, I got to sleep, I got to take care of myself. So you got to have that balance, of course, because it's not like, you know, working at 9 to 5 and you get off in the evenings, and then you could potentially just leverage that schedule to potentially take care of yourself. So I know that's a whole nother probably podcast in itself, but good for you, man. That's awesome that you even heard that from your mom saying something like that, and talk about like giving you more motivation and drive. Like that's super cool, man.
Yeah, thank you. I know my sister even told me, she's 18. She told me the other day too. She was like, damn you. She was like, she's like, you know, you make me need to work harder because mom talks about how proud of you she is. And my sister's only a freshman in college, or now going to be a sophomore. But I told her, I was like, you know what? Why don't you become a real estate agent? Come with me and like shadow me at open house. And it's like, I really have learned a lot more in the last year and a half that I've been a real estate agent. And I take back what I learn, and I'm educating not only people in my immediate household or my immediate family, but also a lot of my cousins too, because a lot of my family members growing up were not pretty privy to the knowledge or power behind real estate. So it's interesting to see because there's a lot of things that even seasoned agents of 20 years are not in full knowledge on. So it's always constantly learning and growing and sharing.
I love that, man. That's super awesome. And yeah, who knows? Maybe she'll come join you and she'll go down that road with you. And I wish the same could be said to my siblings. I believe probably my brother, who's like 12, Dominic, shout out Dominic. He definitely would be interested, I think, in following my footsteps, and he looks up to me. My sister, she's kind of on her own page. She's going on 22, 23 now almost. And so she's kind of doing her own thing, which is cool. And so is my other brother as well. And then my other sister, I think she's somewhat looking up to me. She's a teacher. Shout out teachers out there, as my wife was teaching 16 years as well. But as we get closer to closing up the episode, and I would love to, we want to be able to keep tabs on where you're at, what you're doing. I want all the viewers and listeners out there, if there's something that you took from today's episode, to comment below, give us your feedback. Go follow George, go send him a DM, tell him how this podcast helped you and is going to help you in your life and in your business, because that is our intention. So we're going to want to have you come back on. Definitely going to have you come back on here, George. But in closing, what do you want to leave to our viewers and listeners as they could take to their business, to apply to their business, to have more success after closing out today's show?
Yeah. And thank you for having me on. This was amazing.
Of course.
Yeah. So I would say, honestly, one of the biggest things that has worked for me, and not to sound like a dead horse, because I feel like everyone is really, or like I'm beating a dead horse, is that really, if you're starting out as a brand new agent, even if you're a seasoned agent and you're not using social media, use it. Like, get out there, document your entire journey, your day-to-day. I do that with a mix of what I do in my personal life, like hanging out with friends, family, traveling, gym, and really showcase who you are, because we're in a day and age coming out of hardcore lockdown, COVID, where people really are adjusting again to getting to know other people and getting comfortable and really wanting to know who we are. Really emphasize using your social media, even if you're not a seasoned agent. I mean, I just shared a ton of home tours in my first year and just did a ton of script talking head videos, educating people. And that really helped me learn a lot more about real estate at a much rapid speed and built up my pipeline a lot faster. So I closed, I believe, 8 to 9 deals last year. And so far this year, I've done about 9, just about the first 2 quarters. So all of that's come from my sphere. So definitely don't be a secret agent. Use social media. If you need some tips and tricks, definitely, like Norman said, feel free to DM me or rip off and duplicate some of the content that I use, because that's what I did in the beginning. And I just found what worked for me, and I'm still finding what my style is and testing things out. But get out there, let everybody know who you are, and learn in the field, not behind the computer.
Wow, I love that. It's so true. It's so true. I joke about like showing face. It sounds like you're gonna go to Neil Holmes' event coming up. I think is it in Vegas, a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's in Vegas.
Awesome. I've been meaning to go to that event because I'm good friends of Arjun Mortgage. Arjun's a good friend of mine, and I know that they're already at their third year, crushing it. Ed Milet, they've had some amazing guests, and so I like to say show face, right? Show face, get into other rooms bigger than yourself. Then when you're behind the computer and you are filming your head talk video or whatever else, you could rip off and duplicate, and definitely go to those events to get inspiration. So then you could just like keep playing bigger, which is awesome. That George's on to his next event, and dude, this was amazing. I'm sure someone out there right now is like, all right, I'm getting my license, or all right, I'm gonna stop being a TC or stop being behind the desk, and I'm gonna go do real estate for myself. Or maybe, college student who's listening to this saying, you know what, maybe I want to go ahead and I want to do real estate as well and get my license. I'm gonna reach out to George. So George, thanks so much for being on the show. This was amazing. I really enjoyed the time with you today.
Thank you for having me on. I truly enjoyed it.
Of course. And, we want to encourage everyone to subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment below. What did you learn? Go check out George. His links are down below. It is our intention for you to take things from an episode, apply to your business, have more massive success. We do appreciate your time. And as always, we'll see you next Friday, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. As each week, we have a new episode coming live for you. And thanks again, George. And we'll see you all on the next one.